Welcome back to AI on the Side, a podcast where I unpack how AI and creativity are reshaping the way we work, live, and think. I'm your host, Shalirrah Wisney, a marketer, a mom, and a human navigating this wild tech shift right alongside you. In the last episode, I talked about how confusing the future of work can feel right now. Today, I want to go one layer deeper into who's actually shaping that future, what's happening behind the scenes of big AI, and what it really means for people trying to build careers, raise families, or just keep up. So, part one, the map of big AI. If AI is the new electricity, who owns the power grid and what happens when that grid is controlled by just a few companies? This question sets the stage for understanding where power, influence, and access truly live in the AI era. So I was really thinking about this over the last few weeks, especially specifically, I should say, with OpenAI and the partnerships that have been kind of trickling out over the last few weeks. Um, I know that OpenAI has their main core partnership with Microsoft. They have a partnership with Oracle. They have a partnership with AWS, which was just announced. They have a partnership with NVIDIA and a handful of other companies. And what made me want to break this down deeper is because you know, at my core, I am just a girl and I love to go down a rabbit hole of information. And I love to figure out, what really drives things and makes them work and makes things tick and makes people become a part of this and makes whatever it is here, specifically OpenAI, a brand becoming so ingrained within our culture. And it's happening right before our eyes. And it's kind of like us growing alongside of this versus having it developed and then given to us. So, with the OpenAI partnerships and that deeper layer, first to start off with Microsoft. Microsoft, amongst other things, is a core cloud provider with Microsoft Azure, and they are also an investor. Microsoft also owns LinkedIn, which is an interesting piece because there was talk closer to the beginning of the year about OpenAI possibly looking into creating an AI, not just powered, but AI forward job platform, sort of like LinkedIn. But I think the jobs would be within the AI industry and a lot of the vetting would be through AI. But just an interesting little piece that Microsoft is the, core investor, and to think if there is some sort of new job platform being built outside of it would be crazy. And then also, main thing, Copilot and ChatGPT are very, very similar. So just kind of funny to see those two companies play this little game, I guess, of, well, we're not necessarily saying that we're partnering on a lot of things because we do have these two competing products, but we're investing in each other. Then another partnership is with Oracle. Oracle handles overflow compute. So what I am understanding from this is that Microsoft provides the majority of the cloud space for OpenAI through Microsoft Azure, but they cannot provide everything that OpenAI needs as they scale and develop. So that's where Oracle came in to provide that little gap that's existing in their needs and what Microsoft is able to provide. Oracle is owned by Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison is a big player, just I think in general, he owns a lot of things and has a lot of money in a lot of places. Um, but just a little deeper layer there. Oracle, like I said, founded by Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison's son, David Ellison, is the founder and CEO of Skydance Media, a major film and television production company. Skydance has made movies like Mission Impossible, Maverick, Transformers. I think there's a couple of things on Netflix and Apple TV. And right now, Skydance is attempting to merger with Paramount, which is huge because Paramount is the parent company of CBS, MTV, and Nickelodeon. So if that deal is finalized, David Ellison would effectively become a leading figure controlling Paramount's, entire empire. And then another piece of this is that Larry Ellison is in talks to be on the board that is buying TikTok, which is, TikTok. I won't even go into all of that and all of the data and all of the things. So that is the Oracle story. And then next we have AWS, which was just announced. This is a brand new expansion, but they are also providing compute with their AWS platform. And as we know, AWS is Amazon, which is the, one of the largest e-commerce platforms ever. So more data. And then NVIDIA is the hardware heart. NVIDIA is one of the only providers of the GPUs that make modern AI possible. So they are essentially powering OpenAI while also powering the data centers for AWS, Oracle, Microsoft, and OpenAI. There's obviously a lot of connections and vast overlap between data, infrastructure, media, and employment platforms. And while all of this does create the idea of innovation, it also presents risk because, there is a lot of data for people floating around amongst all of this. We should be thinking about how our data is used across these interconnected systems. It's like the same few players are building, training, and monetizing the tools that all of us rely on. And again, I use these same tools as everyone else, so I'm not trying to downgrade using it or saying don't use it, but I do think it's important to keep in mind that all of these companies are sort of connected. They have access to a lot of our data. So I never thought I would be the person saying, like, watch out for your data and like protect your data and look at what people are doing with it and look at what companies are doing to it. But here I am. To connect all of this, it's these companies don't just power AI, they increasingly shape how information, opportunity, and even creativity flow in the digital economy. So we're not just talking about Chat GPT, we're talking about a handful of companies shaping how millions of us actually do our jobs. So with that in mind, it's an easy, little segue into my next segment, which is the freeze, who gets left out. Everyone's talking about Gen Z and new grads, but what about the rest of us? What about the moms who are no longer working or had to take a gap to take care of their kids during COVID and are just trying to find their way back into the workplace? What about the millennials and Gen Xers who are deciding to do a career change, maybe a little later in the game, and need some education on what we're doing out there? It is, I think, a wild time out there for looking for a job, changing careers, any of that. There are a lot of hiring freezes, and I mentioned that in the last episode. Those freezes are due to many reasons, but a part of it is AI. We've been hearing a lot of that in the conversation. Leaders saying, tell us why you cannot do this with AI, which I think is putting a lot of pressure on employees and teams. It's asking them to do things that they may not be fully trained to do. So when you're asking your employees to do more with AI, I think I would ask, have you shown them how? And I think a lot of the people being overlooked right now and that, potentially can continue to be overlooked are moms, parents in general, caregivers, not even just for little kids, but maybe you have elderly parents you need to give care to. Maybe you have a family member that you need to take care of. Career millennials who are pivoting. I have done that myself. I actually worked with kids for the majority of my adult life. I always knew that I would find my way to marketing or back into marketing, I should say. And I did just that. It's just a lot right now. So if you've been feeling behind, you're just not being talked about in the headlines. So again, while we have those really big stats about new grads, I think that there is a whole other demographic of people needing attention and needing these skills to grow and succeed in an AI world. That leads me to the upskilling part of this conversation, upskilling in an AI first world. So we talk a lot about learning AI, but not everyone needs to become an engineer, right? Like I have fallen in love with AI and like talking about how it can help workflows, not even just for work, but in your personal life too. There are so many projects that I would have never gotten off the ground as quickly. I have great ideas. I just do not always follow through with them, or I cannot always, I guess, compartmentalize what I'm thinking about to stay focused enough to do it. We talk about upskilling and what level of AI you need. I don't need to be an engineer. Most of us probably don't need to be an engineer, but most of us are being asked to use AI in the workplace. So when I look at it, I break it down into AI literacy, AI fluency, and AI knowledge. So AI literacy first, knowing what AI is, basic ethics and terminology. So knowing, for example, that ChatGPT is a form of AI and that ChatGPT is an LLM, a large language model, and it is also a form of Gen AI, which is generative AI. AI fluency, I think that's when you can put in the application piece. You're able to use AI confidently and critically. So this is me knowing when I want to go to ChatGPT and when I want to go to Copilot, and when I might throw in a little perplexity into the mix. I think being able to differentiate between the tools, go in and get the outcome that is expected, that's AI fluency. Being able to use AI to do the job that I'm asking it to do. We have AI knowledge, and that's technical understanding of building and teaching AI. Some of the actionable takeaways here, I think, are pick one AI tool and use it regularly just to, familiarize yourself. Learn to question outputs, not just copy them. I think that dips into hallucinations and always making sure you have a human in the loop, which I know is being used a lot, but you have to have someone verifying whatever it is that AI is telling you. You can't just, copy and paste and just hope and pray that it is actually factual. And then upskilling, you need adaptability, problem solving, not just coding, and you need to be willing to go out there and learn something that is new. It's about staying human while everything else speeds up. So, staying human and knowing what it is you need to help yourself grow, but still keeping those parts of you that separate us from technology. So today we mapped the power players of big AI, looked at who's being left behind and hiring freeze, and unpacked what real upskilling looks like in an AI first world. If this episode helped you see the future of work a little clearer, share it with someone who's trying to make sense of it too, especially the moms, the mid career switchers, or anyone feeling stuck in the middle of all of this change. I'm Shalirrah Wisney. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.